The world has taught you to chase everything outside of yourself: money, validation, status, likes, approval, yet the truth is simple: if you do not love yourself, none of it will matter. You will climb mountains only to feel empty at the summit, you will win applause only to hear silence when you are alone, you will gather riches but starve inside. The Stoics understood this before the noise of the modern world drowned it out. They knew that the foundation of an unstoppable life is not in being loved by others but in being aligned with yourself. To stand firm in storms, to walk with dignity in chaos, to feel worthy without applause, that is the art of self-love through discipline. And today, I will share with you 7 Stoic habits, not superficial tricks, but timeless principles that will teach you to care for yourself in the deepest sense, to rise with unshakable power, and to finally become unstoppable. You are not here to escape weakness, you are here to forge strength. You are not here to beg for acceptance, you are here to command respect by embodying it within. So breathe, listen, and let the words carve themselves into your spirit, because when you master these 7 habits, you will never see yourself the same way again. The first habit is radical morning ownership. How you begin your day is not a small matter, it is the spark that ignites the fire of who you will become. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that when you rise in the morning, you must remind yourself that the day ahead will test you, but you must also remind yourself that you were born with the strength to endure it. Most people wake up as slaves to their phones, their anxieties, their distractions. But a Stoic wakes up as a master of themselves. To practice this, when you open your eyes, do not rush into chaos, breathe, ground yourself, remind your mind that you are the ruler of your choices. Say to yourself, today, I will not waste my time, I will not waste my thoughts, I will not waste my power. This is self-care at its highest level, the discipline to guard your mind before the world poisons it. If you begin your morning with intention, you armor your soul for the battles of the day. Self-love is not indulgence, it is defense. It is declaring, I value myself enough to protect my mind before anything else touches it. The second habit is the practice of sacred solitude. In a world addicted to noise, solitude feels uncomfortable, but it is in solitude that the Stoic warrior finds their sharpest edge. Seneca reminded us that true peace is not found in retreating from life but in conquering our inner restlessness. To love yourself, you must be able to sit in silence without seeking escape. This silence is not emptiness, it is the forge of clarity. It is in solitude that you hear the truth about your fears, your strengths, and your desires. Without it, you drown in the voices of others and forget your own. Self-care is not just baths and soft comforts, it is confronting yourself without masks. Each day, give yourself a time of sacred solitude. No phone. No noise. No distractions. Just you and your mind. Ask yourself, am I living with honor today? Am I walking toward the life I want, or am I drifting? These questions sting, but they cleanse. The man or woman who can face their reflection without fear is the one who is truly free. Solitude, then, is not loneliness. It is self-respect. It is proof that your company is enough. The third habit is emotional self-discipline. Many destroy themselves not by external enemies but by their inability to master their own emotions. Anger, envy, bitterness, these are poisons that eat away at the soul. Epictetus warned us that we suffer not from events but from our judgment about them. To practice self-care as a Stoic, you must. The fourth habit is daily reflection and journaling. To a Stoic, the unexamined life is a wasted life, because a person who does not reflect is like a traveler wandering without a map. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations was nothing more than his private journal, yet it became one of the greatest works in history. Why? Because reflection is the mirror of the soul. It is where you measure your progress, confront your weaknesses, and strengthen your virtues. To love yourself is to refuse to drift blindly, it is to hold yourself accountable with honesty and compassion. At the end of each day, ask, did I live with courage today? Did I waste time on trivialities? Did I treat myself with respect? Write it down, even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. Because self-love is not self-deception, it is truth. A Stoic does not hide from their failures, they study them, learn from them, and rise stronger the next day. Imagine the power of 1 year of such reflection, 365 days of truth carved into your soul, 365 steps toward becoming unstoppable. That is the gift of journaling, not ink on paper, but a life that refuses to waste itself. The fifth habit is strength through voluntary discomfort. The modern world has confused comfort with care, but the Stoics knew that comfort without challenge is the slowest form of death. To truly love yourself, you must prepare yourself for the hardships of life, because suffering will come whether you train for it or not. Seneca advised practicing poverty, fasting, walking barefoot, not as punishment, but as training. He said, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?' This is not cruelty to yourself, it is love in its strongest form. When you willingly embrace discomfort, you remind yourself, cold showers, fasting, exercise, rising before dawn, these are not trends, they are weapons. They tell your spirit, I am stronger than my cravings. I am greater than my laziness." This is the essence of unstoppable self-love, refusing to let comfort turn you soft, and instead forging resilience in the fires of voluntary struggle. The sixth habit is boundaries as an act of respect. Too many people confuse kindness with weakness, generosity with self-neglect. The Stoics taught us that we must live in accordance with nature, and part of nature is balance. If you drain yourself to please others, if you allow toxic people to poison your peace, you are not loving yourself, you are betraying yourself. Epictetus said, "Keep your attention on what is truly your own concern, and you will never be distracted by what does not belong to you." Boundaries are not walls to keep people out, they are shields to protect your energy, your time, your dignity. To practice this, ask yourself, who drains me? Who strengthens me? What conversations leave me empty, and which ones make me grow? Then act with courage. Say no when you must. Walk away when you must. You owe no explanation for valuing yourself. Every boundary you set is a declaration, I am not disposable. My time is sacred. My peace is priceless. This is not selfishness, it is survival. It is building a fortress around your soul so that you can live with strength, clarity, and freedom. The seventh and final habit is living by higher principles, not lower desires. A person who chases desires without discipline becomes a slave to them, money, lust, greed, vanity. But a person who grounds themselves in higher principles, wisdom, justice, courage, and self-mastery, becomes indestructible. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are loving yourself means choosing principles over impulses, long-term dignity over short-term pleasure. Ask yourself, am I living by what I crave, or by what I value?" Every time you choose principle, you reinforce your self-worth. You tell yourself, I am not a puppet of desires. I am the author of my character. This is the highest act of self-care, to align your life with values so deep that no storm can uproot them. When you live this way, you do not need the world's approval. You look in the mirror and know, I walk with honor. I live with purpose. I am enough. You see, knowing the 7 habits is not enough. Knowledge without practice is just intellectual decoration, it makes you feel wise but leaves your life unchanged. The Stoics were never about words alone, they were about action. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet every morning he reminded himself to practice humility, discipline, and strength. Epictetus was born a slave, yet through daily practice of self-mastery, he became freer than kings. Seneca was surrounded by wealth and temptation, yet through reflection and discipline, he guarded his soul against corruption. The question is not whether you admire these habits, but whether you live them. Self-love is not a thought, it is a daily choice, a repeated act, a muscle you must build until it becomes unbreakable. You cannot love yourself by wishing. You love yourself by doing, again and again, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Think about the first habit, radical morning ownership. How different would your life feel if you stopped starting your mornings as a slave to distraction? Imagine waking not with anxiety but with clarity, reminding yourself, this day is mine. This life is mine. I will not waste it. Imagine the ripple effect, your mind sharper, your focus stronger, your mood steadier. When you claim, that is why the Stoics treated mornings as sacred. Not because the sun is holy, but because the mind is most vulnerable at dawn. If you master the beginning, the world cannot crush you in the middle. If you love yourself, you will never again surrender your first hour to chaos. Now take the second habit, sacred solitude. Most people run from silence because they are terrified of what they will hear inside. They fill their lives with noise, endless scrolling, meaningless chatter, pointless consumption, because silence forces them to face the truth. But the Stoic embraces solitude as a friend. In silence, you discover your own voice. In solitude, you stop being a stranger to yourself. And this is love, because to know yourself is to care for yourself, and to care for yourself is to never abandon your own company. Imagine setting aside even 15 minutes a day for silence, for stillness, for reflection. Over time, you will notice your anxiety weaken, your clarity sharpen, and your resilience strengthen. People will sense a calm in you, a presence that cannot be rattled, and they will not understand why. But you will know, it is because you dared to sit with yourself when others ran. The third habit, emotional self-discipline, is perhaps the most powerful. How many wars, how many broken families, how many ruined lives can be traced back to uncontrolled anger, to blind envy, to unchecked greed? To love yourself is to refuse to let your emotions chain you to destruction. Self-discipline is not suppression, it is direction. Anger can destroy, but when mastered, it becomes courage. Envy can rot, but when transformed, it becomes admiration and inspiration. Fear can paralyze, but when disciplined, it becomes preparation. This is what the Stoics meant, emotions are not your enemies, but your raw power. Uncontrolled, they wreck you. Controlled, they make you unstoppable. And every time you choose discipline over impulse, you reinforce a message within, I love myself enough not to betray myself. That is the ultimate act of self-care. Reflection and journaling, the fourth habit, are how you ensure growth is not random. Without reflection, you repeat mistakes until they define you. With reflection, you learn once, and never again. Every night, when you ask yourself, did I live with courage today? Did I waste time? Did I honor myself? You are sharpening your spirit like a blade. Some answers will sting. Some nights you will face the bitter truth that you lived small, that you gave in to weakness. But even that pain is love, because it tells you, I expect more from myself. And the next day, you rise stronger. Imagine the power of 1,000 such reflections across years, your life would be unstoppable momentum. Seneca said, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Journaling is the proof of that learning. Voluntary discomfort, the fifth habit, is the reminder that true care is not in pampering but in preparation. The body that is never strained becomes fragile. The mind that is never tested becomes soft. The soul that avoids discomfort becomes weak. The Stoics loved themselves enough to train for hardship. Seneca asked himself, is this the condition that I feared, and found strength in realizing that he could endure. You can too. Fast, not to punish yourself but to remind yourself you are more than apt. To set a boundary is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is saying, I respect myself too much to allow this. Every time you enforce a boundary, you tell yourself, I matter. And the more you do this, the more your self-respect grows. People may resist, they may call you selfish, they may even walk away. Let them. If they cannot respect your boundaries, they cannot respect you. And if you cannot respect yourself, no one else will. Self-love means being your own guardian, your own protector, your own advocate. Finally, the seventh habit, living by higher principles. This is where everything comes together. If you live only for pleasure, you will decay. If you live only for wealth, you will always hunger. If you live only for validation, you will always beg. But if you live by principles, wisdom, courage, justice, discipline, then even when stripped of everything, you remain whole. This is the highest form of love, to make your life so rooted in virtue that no storm can uproot it. You look at yourself and know, I may lose wealth. I may lose comfort. I may even lose the approval of the world. But I will never lose myself. And that is the moment you become unstoppable. Now you stand at a crossroads. You have heard the 7 Stoic habits that can transform you from fragile to fearless, from self-doubting to self-respecting, from restless to unstoppable. But hearing them is only the first step. The question is, will you live them? Will you rise tomorrow and claim your morning with discipline? Will you dare to embrace solitude instead of drowning in noise? Will you discipline your emotions instead of letting them consume you? Will you reflect daily, sharpening yourself through truth? Will you practice discomfort so that no hardship can surprise you? Will you defend your boundaries as proof that you respect yourself? And will you live by principles greater than your impulses, so that no storm, no loss, no betrayal can ever destroy you? Understand this, self-love is not luxury. It is not indulgence. It is not the fleeting comfort of pleasures or the shallow high of praise. Self-love is war. It is discipline. It is sacrifice. It is the decision to never again betray yourself. It is the relentless choice to honor your own worth even when the world ignores it. It is the courage to face silence, to endure discomfort, to enforce boundaries, to rise above emotions, and to live by principles. This is why Stoic self-care is not soft, it is steel. It does not make you comfortable, it makes you unstoppable. And when you truly love yourself in this way, you become dangerous in the best sense, you become a force that cannot be bent, a soul that cannot be broken, a presence that cannot be ignored. Look around you. Most people are slaves to things they cannot control. They wake as servants to their phones, they collapse under the weight of emotions, they run from silence, they sell themselves cheap to please others, they avoid discomfort at all costs, they live by cravings instead of principles. And what does it bring them? Misery. Anxiety. Emptiness. They chase love from others while abandoning themselves. Do not live this way. Do not waste your one life begging for scraps of respect when you can build an empire of dignity inside yourself. The Stoics did not ask for comfort. They demanded strength. They did not wait for approval. They built character. They did not beg for love. They became love. So now, imagine yourself 1 year from now, if you commit to these 7 habits. Imagine waking every morning with clarity instead of chaos. Imagine sitting in silence without fear, because you have made peace with yourself. Imagine controlling your anger, transforming it into calm power. Imagine journaling every night, carving progress into your soul. Imagine embracing discomfort until resilience becomes second nature. Imagine setting boundaries without guilt, standing tall in your own worth. Imagine living by principles so deep that even when storms rage, you stand unmoved. Can you see it? That is not a fantasy. That is who you could become if you dare to live these habits. That is self-love in its highest form. And when you reach that state, when you finally learn to love yourself as the Stoics intended, something extraordinary happens. You stop needing the world to validate you, and because of that, the world begins to respect you. You stop chasing love, and because of that, love begins to find you. You stop begging for peace, and because of that, peace flows naturally within you. This is the paradox of Stoic self-care: when you stop seeking outside, you discover everything inside. And once you discover it, you become unstoppable. So I leave you with this: do not just listen, act. Do not just admire, practice. Do not just nod your head in agreement, build the habits into your life until they become who you are. Start tomorrow morning by owning your first hour. Start today by carving 15 minutes of silence. Tonight, write one page of reflection. Tomorrow, push yourself into discomfort. Say no to what drains you. And above all, commit to principles greater than yourself. If you take even one step in this direction every day, your life will change in ways you cannot imagine. And if these words have reached you, if they have stirred something in your soul, then take this moment to act now, not later, not someday, but now. Hit the like button, subscribe, and join this journey with us, because this is not just about a video. This is about building a community of warriors who refuse to live small, who refuse to abandon themselves, who rise with self-love, discipline, and unshakable strength. Together, we are not just watching, we are becoming. And as you do this, remember, the greatest gift you can give to the world is the version of yourself that is unbroken, unshaken, unstoppable. The world does not need more people chasing approval. It needs people who stand tall in their own power. Be that person. Live these 7 habits. Love yourself. Become unstoppable. Before you go, I have one request: don't just let these words fade into the background noise of your life. Take action now. If this message lit a fire in you, if you felt even for a moment that strength stirring inside your chest, then hit that like button. It's not just support for this channel, it's a declaration that you refuse to live small. Subscribe, because this journey does not end here. We are building a community of warriors, men and women who walk with discipline, who choose self-love as power, who rise above weakness. Share this video with someone who needs to remember their worth, because together, we are unstoppable. Every click, every share, every comment, it's fuel that pushes this mission forward. Let's hit the goal of 10,000 likes, not for vanity, but as proof that this movement of strength, dignity, and stoic self-mastery is alive. So act now. Don't wait. Join the fight. Stand with us. Become the force you were meant to be.